Call to order the November 18th, 2025 regular school board meeting. Mrs. Walton will lead us in our moment of prayer.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity today. We thank you for all of the board members, for our superintendent, Lord. We thank you for all of DCS staff, teachers, educators. Lord, we ask that you bless us all, give us wisdom, give us clarity of mind, Lord. But above all, you be glorified in all that we do. We thank you that you have called us for such a time as this. And we love you. Thank you for loving us. These and other blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Highlands 5th grade student Akir Cazares Cortez.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And presenting our colors tonight was DHS High School JROTC. Okay. I ask for a motion to approve the agenda and proposed agenda modifications.
I have a proposed agenda modification.
Second.
You want to make a modification?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And he's second, so we just go ahead and make them.
Yeah.
So I actually have three. The first one is I move that the board terminate its engagement with the Parsons Group for the purpose of conducting the annual audit effective immediately. And reminder, this is not to discuss the issue, just to add it to the agenda or not.
Okay. Do I have a second to add this to the agenda? Do I have a second? All right. All in favor? Who seconded it?
Ari seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries. That's just to add it to the agenda. All right. Do you have anything else?
I have two more. So I move to update item 12J to read as follows. It is the recommendation that the board discuss and vote on an audit by the Alabama State Department of Education of the district finances. Currently, it reads, it's the recommendation that the board discuss a state audit. And so I would like that to be brought to a vote today.
Okay. I think the number might have changed on that one.
No, it's still 12J on the current agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, I have one more.
Okay.
I move that we amend the agenda to add the board attorney's contract as an action item.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay. And just for clarification, these are agenda additions that were not published on the website prior, so the public as well as the board would know that these were coming today. Is that correct?
That is correct. These are additions.
Okay. So the public did not have the opportunity to know what was going to be discussed.
We'll discuss it further in detail when they come up again, so everything will be presented.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
may I?
Yes, sir.
I would like to speak to you and to our attorney.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me, according to the Alabama Open Meeting status, whether or not items added to the agenda after the superintendent has published his agenda require a supermajority vote of 3/5 or 2/3 in the affirmative to be approved by the board, not a quorum or a simple majority? I would like to have the answer to that, please.
Okay. According to Robert's Rules of Order,
I'm talking about state statute. I'm not talking about Robert's Rules of Order.
from what I understand and what we were, Mr. Etheridge told us was that as long as the action items are added before we approve the agenda and we add the modifications before the agenda was approved, then we could add them. And we only needed a simple majority.
May I ask my question again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I would like to know, whether or not the Alabama open meeting status, whether or not items added to the agenda after the superintendent has published his agenda require a supermajority vote of 3/5 or 2/3 in the affirmative. Our attorney just quoted quorum. Quorum is not a supermajority. And, a simple majority is 50% plus. But I want to know, if there's a supermajority required to add things at the last minute and the superintendent did not add it. May I have an answer to that at some point in time? I don't know what we think or what may be. I want to know if the statute addressed that.
Okay.
I'm not asking for
Oh,
a recommendation. I'm asking for an answer to my question. He's standing by what the other attorney has said. And I want to know if that's legal by the state statute. That's my question, please.
That's what you chose to be governed by.
Since that's what we run our meetings by according to our policies.
So there's no answer from the state statutes about this at all? Or I can't receive it because an answer has already been given previously by another attorney?
We can definitely get you an answer in writing. Yes,
I would like that, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yes, sir.
much.
We'll definitely get an answer in writing. Okay.
It was certainly legal 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. No one questioned.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the proposed modifications?
Made a motion.
Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. All right, board comments. Does anyone have any comments? All right, superintendent's report, Dr. Askew.
Thank you, Chairman. So we're going to start something new this month with the superintendent's report. As a portion of the report, we certainly want to recognize all the great things that are taking place in our schools each and every day. And so each month we're going to highlight 2 schools. I'm going to call our new PIO to the podium, Karis Harmon, and she'll begin that process.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Karis Harmon, if you don't know me yet or if I haven't introduced myself to you, and I am honored to serve as the new Public Relations Officer for Dothan City Schools. It is truly a privilege to step into this role and help tell all of the amazing stories that's going on in our district. And over the last week and a half, as long as I've been here, I've had the chance to visit campuses, meet students, meet teachers, staff, principals, and really see the heart of the district up close. And let me just say, Dothan City Schools is full of incredible people doing a lot of incredible work. A lot of it goes unnoticed. So today I'm excited to introduce something we'll be doing regularly called the Superintendent Spotlight. And it's a moment to shine a light on schools, programs, and people who are making remarkable impacts across our district. So this evening, we are celebrating 2 schools that embody innovation, excellence, and a deep commitment to student success. First, we want to recognize Carver School for Math, Science, and Technology. Carver was recently named the number 6 elementary school in the entire state of Alabama by U.S. News and World Report. Let me just repeat that for you guys. That's a huge deal. Number 6 out of hundreds of elementary schools statewide. That is an amazing and massive achievement. So this ranking is a direct reflection of the school's high academic performance, its strong leadership, and the commitment of teachers that go above and beyond every single day. Carver continues to show what's possible when students are challenged, encouraged, and supported in an environment built for STEM-focused learning and exploration. So to everyone at Carver, from the administration to teachers to students, congratulations, you have set the bar very high, and the entire district is proud of you. Now, Principal Bain, will you come up here and take a picture with us? Let's have you go. Actually, no. That makes it too small. And we have one more school to recognize, so if you guys don't want to walk back up there, you don't have to. Yes. All right. Next, I'd like to highlight Highlands Elementary School, a campus that is truly living its mission through creativity, innovation, and community collaboration. Highlands recently launched something incredibly special, and it's called the Bright Ideas Classroom Grant Program. It's an initiative created by Principal Beth Bouchard and supported by both the school and its PTO. And after raising $1,000 in its school fundraisers and securing a matching $1,000 from their PTO, Highlands created a $2,000 fund dedicated to empowering teachers with the resources to dream big for their students. Teachers submitted proposals for classroom grants up to $500, and an evaluation rubric was used to ensure each idea was impactful, sustainable, and aligned with student needs. 4 projects were selected, and they are nothing short of inspiring, so I'll just go through these really quick. The first is called Bingo for Books, Kindergarten Literacy Grant, led by Miss Vicki Hogan. This grant will support a family literacy night, where kindergarten students and families play bingo games designed to strengthen foundational reading skills. Students will leave with new books in hand, and parents will receive the tools to support literacy at home, and it's a beautiful example of school and family partnership. The second grant is the 4th grade math grant called Explore Fraction Concepts. This is submitted by math coach Chris Kikowski and teacher Kristen Flajol. This grant provides hands-on materials from Hershey bars to Legos to help students master fractions in engaging, tactile ways. With fractions being a key part of the ACAP and the Alabama Numeracy Act, this project directly supports academic growth. The third one is Cardboard Creations, the K through 5 Art and STEAM grant. This is led by art teacher Tara Harris. She's launching a 3D design initiative using a kid-safe chomp saw tool, empowering students to build, engineer, and create using sustainable materials. Now, starting in January, her students will prepare creations for the school's Spring Invention Convention, and this project blends together art, engineering, and imagination, which gives students the chance to think like young innovators. And the last one is the Multi-Sensory Renovation, the Special Needs Classroom Grant. Special education teacher Megan Brazina is transforming a sensory space into a calming, therapeutic environment for students with high needs, sensory sensitivities, or emotional challenges. This renovation supports sensory regulation, stress reduction, and behavioral de-escalation, truly turning overload into an oasis for the students who need it the most. Now, these projects, they all represent what happens when educators feel supported, trusted, and empowered to bring creative solutions into their classrooms. And Highlands Elementary is leading by example, and we're so grateful for their dedication to meeting students' needs in thoughtful and innovative ways. Let me come up and take a picture with you guys. And I do have certificates. We might need to squeeze real tight together. And that is it. But the last things that I'll say, just as the new public relations officer, my goal is really simple, and that's to celebrate stories like these. These are stories of excellence, stories of creativity, resilience, and of course, heart. Stories that show what makes DCS not just a district, but an entire community. So thank you guys for welcoming me into this role. I'm super excited for what's ahead, and even more excited to share the incredible work happening across our schools. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. All right, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Sorry about that. Okay, now it's the minutes from the October 21st regular school board meeting and minutes for the November 4th, 2025 special called board meeting for personnel. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the October 21st? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead again. Employee of the month.
That's okay. So November's Employee of the Month was recommended by Miss Sarah Ann Odom. She is the ELL Assessment Coordinator, and that is Miss Brisa Ramirez, who is here with us tonight. So she can come forward. So a little bit about Ms. Ramirez. She has 7 years total experience with Dothan City Schools. She currently serves in the position of ELL teacher. The schools that she covered are, come on up here, Slingliff, Beverly, Hidden Lake, and Selma Street. A little bit about about you from Miss Odom. So she says that you are deeply committed to student success and consistently goes above and beyond for the EL learners that you serve. Despite managing a caseload of more than 100 students across 4 schools, she knows each student's needs and supports them academically, socially, and emotionally. She is a dependable, hardworking teacher who puts students first in every situation. She regularly takes on additional responsibilities, including translating for families, attending PTA meetings, piloting programs, serving on committees, and organizing EL parent nights. She is always willing to help, even when tasks fall outside of her job description. Her leadership within the EL team sets a standard for effective, high-quality teaching. Congratulations.
Isn't she beautiful? She's pretty too.
All right. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the October 21st, 2025 regular school board meeting and the November 4th, 2025 special called meeting?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, motion carries. No opposed. All right, monthly financial reports, accounts payable, payroll, and certification of bank reconciliations. Do I have a motion to approve those October 2025 monthly financial reports?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all approved?
Yay.
Yay.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. Donations, monetary donation of $1,000 for a teacher lounge makeover as the winners of the 2025 Wiregrass Institute contest. Do I have a motion to approve this donation?
Make a motion to approve the donation.
Second? Okay. Second. Do I have any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Head Start. Do I have a motion to approve this October 2025 financial report for Head Start?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Opposed? Okay. Head Start menu. Do I have a motion to approve the Head Start menu for November 2025?
Motion.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Head Start enrollment and attendance. Do I have a motion to approve the Head Start enrollment and attendance for October 2025?
Motion.
Okay, do I have any discussion? Yeah, Ari. Okay. All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All opposed? Okay. Head Start Monthly Summary Report. Do I have a motion to approve the Head Start Monthly Summary Report for October 2025?
Move to approve the Head Start monthly summary report.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, personnel agenda. Out-of-state field trip for Selma Street. Do I have a motion to approve the Selma Street fourth grade students to visit the Challenger Learning Center in Tallahassee, Florida on December the 4th, 2025?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now, Mr. Mallory. I promise I'm trying to move it along here for y'all.
Okay, we have one deletion tonight, and that was H1. It's a deletion, H1. And we have correction to previous action 4, terminations 1, resignations 3, retirements 1, additional or temporary employment 6, transfers 4, conditional appointments 2, appointments 0, verification of higher degree 2. That's it.
Do I have a motion to approve the personnel agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the personnel agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, textbook committee.
Good evening. In front of you, you have the recommendation of the local textbook committee.
I just wanted to tell you on that, I had several parents that got nominated for that call me to ask me about it, and I told them, this is awesome, you definitely want to do this. So thank you for reaching out to those parents. Thank you for that.
I want to add, the committees y'all can't see, it's about half parents. And so thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. I think that's going to be really meaningful.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion that we approve the textbook committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Temporary support for federally funded Head Start program due to government shutdown. Mrs. Walker?
Good evening. As you all know, the federal government has opened back up, but with that being said, it's not a flip of a switch. So fortunately, the operations have resumed at the federal level, and we've kept an agenda item related to this in place for the meeting because we will need to approve temporary funding still to close any gaps. Head Start Director Nikki Cochran received a call from our program specialist confirming that our grant is actively being processed. While we've not been given a specific release date, we were told that funding should be issued soon. So at this time, we don't have an indication that there will be any portion of the funds that will be reduced. But at this time, I do ask that you formally approve the temporary funding until we have the new grant cycle opened.
All right. Ask for a motion to approve the temporary support for the federally funded Head Start program.
Move to support the temporary support for federally funded Head Start program due to the government shutdown.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion for this? All right. All in favor?
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Approval of the bus purchase. Is Dr. Hall here? All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Before you, you have a recommendation to approve a bid from Transportation South through Sourcewell for the purchase of 9 Thomas C. 311 TS model year 2027-28 buses. We just ask that you look over that, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
I'll add this because Ari just asked and I already looked. They have air conditioning, so everybody knows they have air conditioning.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the bus purchase?
I move we approve the bus purchases.
Do I have a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Contract for the teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing through Sunbelt Staffing. That's Ms. Dyer.
Good evening, everyone. The item before you is a contract for a teacher of the deaf, hard of hearing through Sunbelt Staffing.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the contract for the teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing through Sunbelt Staffing?
May I ask a question first?
We have to get to the discussion.
Is that after we vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
after we get. Okay, do I have a second? Okay, then discussion.
Now may I ask a question? Do we know that the person that is hired through the teleservice is fluent in ASL?
Yes, they were vetted through the company, and then we also had the opportunity to interview the candidate.
Okay, so they are fluent in American Sign Language, the person is. Okay, thank you.
All right, any more discussion?
I'm sorry, did you say repeat the question? Is that what you asked? Oh,
And tell me about it. This is temporary while we are continuing to search, or what?
Yes, sir, this is a temporary plan while we continue to search for a candidate for this position. We are actively reaching out to universities who graduate students with this degree, and we're also reaching out to our local resources.
How many job vacancies are there in the state that we know of for this position? I mean, if you had to get, is it?
I don't have that, I'm not sure.
All right, is there any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Title I, Part D, Subpart 2, Formal Agreement with the Diversion Center. Ms. Jacobs? All right.
Good evening. Before you is an agreement between Dothan City Schools and the Diversion Center. If you're not aware, just to give you a little background, we participate in federal funding called Title I, Part D. It is for delinquent or adjudicated students. We serve the Diversion Center in that capacity. They are actually part of our LEA as an extension. They also receive funding for Specialized Treatment Center under the State Department. But in addition to that, they receive these funds. So this is a formal agreement that the State Department requires us to put in place. It's a template that they basically create for us, and we have to submit it with our EGAP application every year. As you will see on this, on the back, it's for $81,000, and that will be covering partial of their salaries. That's really, the rest of their funding comes from the Specialized Treatment Center allocation.
Do I have a motion to approve the Title I, Part D, Subpart 2 formal agreement with the Diversion Center?
I move we approve.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
For discussion.
I'm sorry.
Well, Lee,
discussion.
I just want to mention this. In my years, I've never really been able to firsthand hear about the diversion center as far as someone to come in here and kind of share. You think maybe that's something we could look at doing, maybe one at a future board meeting?
Oh, yeah, we
Just
could
to
have-
get us a little more of an understanding of what they're dealing with over there.
Yes, Susan is the lead educator or lead teacher, and we can have her come and just kind of present to you what their day-to-day life is.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're looking for? Yeah.
Be good.
That's not a problem.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. Security camera access for the principals on their DCS cell phone. Mr. Mallory.
So Jeremy couldn't be here tonight, so he has provided me with some information because we didn't want to delay sharing this information with you guys. So you should have in your packet a copy of this presentation, and then additionally you have a frequently asked questions document that he went through and added some answers to some of the things that we thought you might have some questions around. A little bit of background around the security cameras. Currently, our old system is still in place. The new system will not go live until January. So right now, we have what we've been operating off of is the old version. The new, we still have to have the training for all of the principals and the directors. And those that will have access to the camera, they will be going through that training the first week of December. Once they go through that training, then we'll have the go live. So right now, we're on the old camera system currently. The question was posed, how do we add access to admin? So if you take a look, let me see if I can. So currently, if you look at 18 schools and you added 2 admin per school with roughly just over 1,200 cameras. So this would give access to 2 of the admin at each building off campus on their cell phone. This is our current configuration. So if you see, as of right now, all of our video stays within a building. Each school has its own network video recorder. So all of the information, you can kind of look at the flow chart there. It's not going out on the web. It's not going to cell phones. It's not going to the schools. It's staying within the building. So that's our current camera system. When the new system comes up, it would operate under the same scenario, but if we add it to cell phones, it adds an additional level of complexity, which it can be done. It's just going to be some additional costs. So this is an overview of kind of how it flows off campus. So we would move to an off campus from the school server across the fiber line to the data center, out of our 2.5 gig internet connection across the internet, and then it would arrive at the administrator's phone. Why does that matter? Currently, our 2.5 gig internet highway is already over 60% full with instructional traffic. So this new video load would create congestion. So we'll have to add upgrade to the internet connection. Our main 2.5 gig is not large enough to handle the existing load, plus all of the new video streams that would come into play. You have to, when you're looking at it, even though we know that not all cameras are going to be being downloaded, uploaded, and looked at the same time, you have to make the assumption of the max there, because testing other items that are other things that are going on, instruction throughout the school day. We don't want to slow that down or cause delay by the camera system. So that's why there would need to be an upgrade to the internet connection and an upgrade to the firewall. Several schools have 1G links. They require new, more powerful firewalls to handle the massive increase in the video throughput. You would also need to add the mobile device management, which is the multi-factor or dual factor. And what this allows you to do is if one of the mobile devices is lost, you can lock it, wipe it remotely, and do those kind of things. Expand the VPN access. I know that was one of the questions, was we cannot send unencrypted video data across the public internet. This creates a significant security and privacy risks. So our virtual private network is required for every mobile user so that we can create a secure environment there, a tunnel for the video feed. So currently we get about a 90% discount on our internet and our fiber bill. This discount is only for instructional traffic. E-rate funding only applies to network usage that supports instructional content delivery. Since the new camera system will now send video across the district fiber network and the internet, this traffic must be cost allocated. In other words, we'll need to re-estimate or estimate the percentage of bandwidth used for the cameras and then remove that portion from our E-rate reimbursement. So then that amount would be covered by the district. So I know that's a lot of information there, and this is what you really want to know. So the new recurring cost, and this is a breakdown. You can see the $15,172. That's combined. We will now have to pay due to the cameras being non-educational, not covered by E-rate. And then the $11,300 would be the MDM software that is not covered through E-rate. And then this is the one-time setup, and this just walks through what we would do on the back end. Obviously, there is not a hard cost. This is a soft cost that would take the manage the network, the setup of the network. And then this is just a summary and the recommendation based off the hardware upgrades, which would require we are pending vendor quotes there and on the E-rate financial impact. But the estimation we would be looking at roughly about $26,500 to add camera access. Now this it's a little different than a desktop. So when you look at the camera system, so if let's say a school has 40 cameras or whatever it is, they'll be able to view up to 6 at a time. It is a little more cumbersome, but it is doable. They would just need to know, which cameras, how it was numbered, and where to search. And then lastly, so this is just an internet connectivity cost breakdown, just to give you kind of an idea of what we were talking about from bandwidth. So if you look at the location, you have the location on the left there, you see the total bandwidth that is, we currently pay for. The cost for that service is next to it. And then you can see the number of cameras that we have installed across all campuses, and then there's a breakdown on those cameras. And then the camera bandwidth, and then the total proposed daily usage with cameras. So that's going to be the column with the red. That's going to show you where we're at. So those percentages on the cost allocation. So the new DCS cost with adjustments for camera traffic, that is your breakdown of what it will cost to add additional bandwidth at each campus to cover that outgoing traffic that's going from your cameras out over the fiber and then reaching the cell phone. So that is where we're at right now as far as information. As I mentioned, and I don't, Jeremy is not here. If you have additional questions, we'll be happy to walk through and get those answers for you. Again, we're operating on the old network right now, the new network. Everyone will be trained in December, and we're looking for around the 1st of January go live on the new camera system. So I guess what I'm saying right now is even if we make a decision tonight, we're still not going to have them on. It won't be up and ready until the new system goes live.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
It says here on the hardware upgrades, it's pending vendor quotes. Do we know when we'll have the quotes back? An estimation. So
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
the hardware upgrades, it says pending vendor quotes. Do we have an estimated time frame when we'll know how much those estimates are?
I'll get that for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On this last page, it has all of our schools, and then it has what I'm assuming is train, TRAN. Transportation, got it, okay. And then the other one, the says, which one's that one? The one right below that one? That is the diversion center, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Patrick, I know you're not the expert on this, but what makes it so complicated, you said, is the fact that the video, our cameras aren't linked to the internet, that they're in-house?
So right now, there's a recorder, basically a recorder per se at each campus. So that information is staying within that building. So when you start going out and going to camera system, that's when it starts going out. There's an internet connection. It goes out over the internet, and that's what opens up the additional.
This would be the part you may not be able to answer, but like, I have cameras at my house. They're in-house, but I can log on. I could probably give everybody in here the password, and everybody could log on and see my cameras. So how is that different than what we're dealing with the schools?
Part of it is the bandwidth part of it, and then the other has to do with the security and the encryption, I guess, from, when it goes out onto a cell phone, you open yourself up to hacking and those other things. So there's security measures that have to be put in place to dual authentication and those things. But
that's, what a password is for?
Yeah.
It's just a password. It's like, we trust credit cards with passwords.
And
I don't quite get it.
I understand. I can get you, like I said, that's part of why we wanted to go ahead and bring it now, is to get, if you have additional questions, to be able to ask those questions and get an answer. What we had talked about is either you can email directly, I guess Dr. asked you to those, and he'll distribute those, or either go through our document and we'll answer the questions. We'll have them for you.
With transportation department, do the principals have access to those cameras that are their schools? Is that just Ms. Hall Neal? Does she get those? Does she already have those? Does she get?
Every building maintains their own camera system. So part of the access and the requirement here is you're not able to see other people's cameras.
So if there's
So
an issue on the bus, it would go through her, then she would go to the school.
She has access to all camera systems that are related to the bus, and then the buildings have access and they have control of the cameras that are in each individual building.
Okay, so like I know we've had this problem in the past, if a student got on a bus that they didn't know, someone did not know they got on, she could check that real quick.
She can check her
From
cameras.
anywhere.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
When I was at Old Dothan High, which is now DPA, we had the cameras on campus, and I had them on my school phone and my iPad back then. So something, I guess, has changed since then.
Yeah, I would have to defer to Jeremy on that. I know there's E-rate, there's discount, there's things that's come into play where we get funding now that we did not get in the past, and some of that is based off of how, it has to be instructionally related, or either we have to pay for that out of local funds. I don't know if that is part of the reason and the change that has occurred since then, but I do know that that's one of the limitations that's involved. And
So
then the-
currently, I guess right now, and I never thought about this till it came up, but they have to be at a desktop computer to see their cameras? Man,
You
I
have
was
to be
walking the
on-
halls
you have to be
trailing
on the
people back in the
network.
day with my iPad.
You have to be on the network, so whatever the system, so back then, we had, I guess we were using Apple products probably at that time, and you had an iPad that would have had access. Now we have Chromebooks, we have laptops, and we have desktops, so it would be the same, we just don't use Apple products anymore, so. But to answer that, you do have to, like, you would physically have to be in front of a laptop or a computer to be able to view the cameras. You can't do it
Yeah,
on your phone.
yeah, I could tote my iPad, and I had a Microsoft Surface deal too that I could do it. So it wasn't just Apple, but I could be in the hall and I could be moving and pull up the cameras at any time. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And again, I'm happy to get that answer for you. I know it probably has to do with E-rate and it has to do with security.
It said on there too, 2 principals per school. So at schools with more than, like Dothan High, with more than just the principal and with several APs, would it just be one AP that has that, or would each of them?
It would be 2, well, what we looked at was 2 on each campus. So a principal and then a designated AP. If you add more, then it is also going to increase the bandwidth. You're going to have multiple people on there and multiple users. So if they pull up more, different people have the cameras up and they're accessing at the same time, it's going to pull more cameras over the internet. So it could be done. It's just going to be more cost if you add additional.
And I guess to Mrs. Jenkins' point, I would think for some of our larger schools, like particularly Dothan High, DPA, with, higher enrollment, we would probably want more than just 2.
I agree. And I think if the AP is off campus that day, the one that has been chosen, or even the principal is off campus that day, you've got the other APs running it that don't have access to it. So that also presents another problem.
Okay. And I know we had talked about looking at pricing if all administrators had it, but then you're talking, that's a substantial amount. But I think to your point, if the larger, I can have him pull, what would that look like? What would that impact be if you have multiple users on your larger campuses that have multiple APs?
Okay.
Last question. And
Yes, sir.
is the security risk someone getting access to our cameras, or is the security risk that they're going to go through this camera situation and get to other internet-based things we're doing?
It all is interconnected. So once someone gets access into your system, then they can have access into everything. So the security risk is that they get in and they have all of our data. And we've seen companies that have that breach, and they were just.
But if the cameras are in-house, standalone, they're not connected to any of that.
Currently they are. But if you put them online for them to go out, then there's access in.
Okay, I think with all of the questions, I think it would be appropriate to make a motion to table this. Okay, do I have a motion to table this?
I move we table.
Do I have a second? All right, it's a motion that we table this, and I have a second from Ari. All in favor?
Yay.
Okay. All opposed? And any discussion on tabling? All right, motion carries. All right. Personal appliances for teachers and staff. Ask for a motion to approve that the Dothan City Board of Education authorizes teachers and staff to have personal appliances in their classrooms and/or offices, including microwaves, mini refrigerators, fans, and air purifiers, humidifiers, and dehumidifiers. Space heaters will continue to be disallowed and any at central office or outlier offices should be removed. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay, all opposed? All right, motion carries. Oh, wait a minute, discussion. Sorry, I forgot discussion, but. All right, lawn care contracts. All right. It's recommended that we have a discussion about lawn care contracts. So do I have a motion to discuss this?
Motion.
Second? All right, let's discuss. Okay, currently we're doing just invoices. We don't have contracts with our lawn care providers. So do we need to?
So we don't do a year contract like we used to?
No, we do not currently. We have no contracts for our lawn care providers. So
So if we were to create contracts, we would need to do an open bid and then go from there, correct?
they've already done the bid process.
So we would have to go into contracts with the people who already won that bid. Okay.
Yes. And then I think next year we would rebid.
So are we voting that we want to go into contracts and then have our attorney negotiate those contracts? Is that what the end result of this would be?
Well, it would just be the attorney would write the contracts.
Okay.
Is there an advantage or reason why we haven't been under contract?
Who would that be? Who would that be?
I don't think that there was a clear advantage to not having a contract. I think that it was just maybe a matter of convenience, and Charlotte's at the podium to do the monthly billing.
Correct. Just for as long as I've been in the maintenance department and then have overseen this in the previous years, there's just never been one. So it just hadn't been done in the past. So the items were all brought before the board in a certain amount, so we're making sure that that is the case, that as far as a formal contract.
Okay.
So if we created a formal contract, you could give all those numbers. This is what we're currently yearly paying this one, and then we enter a contract for that amount.
Yes. Yes, and right now it currently runs through December of '26. So typically you put that out, it's like Mr. Childers said, 1 year. It's always been a 2-year contract originally for bid with the option of a 1-year extension if all parties agreed. So that's what happened in April. All parties agreed to the extension, and so that put it from 2025 to 2026. So we would typically put that back out to be bid, put it out for review in October, bid in November, bring it before the board in December, and the new contract would start in January of '27.
Mr. Fowler, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but did you have an opportunity to look and see what the limits were for what we're required to put under contract?
I think you could probably put anything you wanted to under contract if you want part of this. Why would you not have a contract? That's my whole thing. Lays out the terms, conditions, what we expect, what the pay is.
And all of those things were done in the bid. You know, it laid out all of those things. It just wasn't a signed document after the bid was approved by the board.
Why would we do a bid and not get a contract? Why leave anything open to interpretation?
Okay. All right. So I need a motion to approve our attorney to do a contract for the lawn care.
Make a motion to approve our attorney to write contracts for our lawn care service.
Do I have a second? Okay, I'll approve.
Well, discussion.
Discussion, I'm
It
sorry.
would be, I mean, we're not just talking one company too. Don't we currently have about 4 companies doing it? 5, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right. The next is the recommendation that the board, how did you word that exactly? Do you want to pass that down to me?
I think I gave the wrong copies away to Lucretia, but it said it was the recommendation of the board that we discuss requesting a state audit and put that to a vote.
Okay. So do I have a motion that we discuss and vote on requesting a state audit of the school district's finances. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we discuss potentially having a state audit done
Okay.
and a vote.
Do I have a second? Second. All right. And discussion.
Go ahead.
I know this is something that we had discussed before the new superintendent came in. And all of my reading, it was that this was pretty commonplace to do when a new superintendent came in, prior to a new superintendent coming in, actually, so the new superintendent could see what they were coming into. Since we have not done that, I think it would behoove us to do it now, to just kind of get all of our ducks in the row, especially with a new board, just see where everything is at. It is a different audit than what we have the Parsons group currently doing. It would be a different group that comes in a different kind of rubric that they would do to just kind of show us where we're at, deep dive into everything that doesn't necessarily happen on the main audit. But again, everything that I have read about this over the last year or so said that it's just the best practice for a district to do who's getting a new superintendent, especially when you're getting a new superintendent.
So when I saw this on the agenda, I kind of thought of it, especially since we currently have an auditor. The Parsons Group is just like a second opinion from a doctor, and it will give us a good comparison to see if our current auditor has missed anything. So that was my initial thoughts, but I believe it's been added today that we're talking about getting rid of the current auditor. So that's just an additional item that we need to take into consideration. But I will say, based on the financial report I saw in the board documents for October 2025, currently we have about 4 months of fund balance, which is close to $30 million in reserve. And historically, 2018, I don't even think we had 1 month reserve. 2018, we did not have the required 1 month reserve of finances. Now we have close to 4, which equates to about $30 million. So I'm not opposed to the state coming in. They may find something the current auditors didn't find. I'm open to that. I have an accounting background, so I'm definitely open to that. But I do just see that we have made significant gains financially. Not saying that there aren't things that could have been missed. So I just wanted to ensure the community was aware of that.
All right, if there's no more discussion, all in favor?
Yay.
Okay. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. The next we have selection of 3 board members and selected by the board, and selection of 3 staff members selected by the superintendent to serve on the policy study. And remember, this was to look at and review the board policy. So do I have a motion for us to do that?
I make a motion that we discuss the policy study committee.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, now we need discussion. Well, we need
So
to.
who
we need
would
to-
be the people?
3 people.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
would be the people?
Well, we need to decide amongst us.
Okay.
So anybody want to volunteer?
I'd like to volunteer.
I'll do it.
Okay. Want to draw straws? Because there can only be 3 of us.
It's 2. Who started?
I want to do
Me.
Do it.
Okay, so.
You have to be on it.
Yeah. So me, Ashley, and Taisha? Okay.
Just
Okay.
kicking me off, Julie?
Okay, what about you, sir?
The 3 staff members will be Patrick Mallory, Lee Jacobs, and Nicole Guilford.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Yay.
All opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Okay. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the members?
I make a motion to approve Julie, Taisha, and Ashley as the 3 committee members, and then Patrick Mallory, Lee Jacobs, and Nicole Guilford as the school staff committee.
Do I have a second? Second. All right, all approve?
Yay.
Okay, all opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. The DCS custodians. I need a motion to approve for the board to employ currently outsourced custodians as DCS employees.
Motion?
All right. Is there any discussion?
A question. I have a question. I'm not sure who to pose this to, maybe to Mr. Mallory. So if this is approved, does this mean that our custodians will report directly to the principals now?
So you're talking about two different things. So we have a portion of our custodians that are outsourced right now through our staffing provider. Those positions were not outsourced through a formal board vote. They were outsourced through attrition and basically through turnover and open positions. So what the former administrator, they were looking for cost savings measures, and that was one of the cost savings measures. So there was not a vote to outsource those. It was just, they were just, as open positions occurred, they were brought back in through our staffing provider. So technically, all you would have to do is post those positions and hire them, and they would come back. The second, I guess, that's the 23 that are through a staffing provider. The others are housed through the central office. So that would be a simple transfer back to the individual school. So to kind of give you an example of what that would look like, if you have your custodians now that are at your school and they're already DCS employees, we would just transfer those individuals through a board action back, to that school, and they would be under that principal. Then the principal could post, and I say the principal because I'm sure if they would want to make the decision on who they're bringing in, and then the Kelly employees or the outside, whomever would apply for those positions, and the principal would hire those custodians in. So there's two separate things there. One, you're sending the custodians back that are under maintenance and facilities now under the principals. The other would just be posting positions, and instead of having those 23 that are out there through the staffing provider at this time, we would just hire them back through DCS like they were before.
So the principals at each school would be the ones doing the hiring?
Well, if you send it back to the schools, then principals would be responsible for the custodians at that point. So if they have a custodian turnover, if they have a custodian opening, if they have an absence and all of that, that would fall back on the school level, just like any other employee at the school level.
Okay.
So do we need to make a separate motion since it's two different things?
And I mean, really and truly, I guess my point was, there wasn't an action. All you would have to do is transfer, like we would have to provide the notice, put those individuals onto a board packet like we have, and just do a transfer. So that's what we did when we brought them from, say, Dothan High School to the central office. They were transferred from Dothan High to the central office through a personnel agenda. So all you have to do if you want them to go back to the principals would be put those individuals as a transfer back from where they're at central office to where they need to be located in the schools.
Is there currently a pool of substitutes for custodians that the principals would be able to pull from if someone is out or on vacation or?
Currently, we have rovers. Of course, if we move back to the schools, right now, those rovers are handled through a custodial supervisor and through maintenance and facilities. There would not be a rover unless, I mean, it would all have to go into a sub pool and they would have to get a sub, but there's not necessarily a pool of subs right now because at this point, we're not managing 23 of those individuals. They're managed by that staffing vendor. So right now, we're just covering, if we have an absence, they may not get a sub for that day, or they'll have a rover that covers for that position. When they're back at the school, there won't be the rover. It'll just be just like anyone else in the school that's out that day. They would go in and put in for a sub, and then the sub would pick it up and come in and cover. But I don't have the exact numbers of what's in their pool right now because they're filling, the 23 slots. Now, if there were individuals that were not hired or brought back in, and someone from the outside was hired, then those individuals, I'm assuming, would still be in the pool to be able to come back through like we do other subs.
You may not know this, but are there ones that want to be rovers that could stay in that position? If we wanted to fill
Yeah,
needed?
I guess we're not going to have anybody to manage that process, though, I guess, because it would be, if the principals are the ones that know the absence is occurring at their school, that's like any other position that's hired within the school system. Unless we had some kind, they would have to be an agreed upon, hybrid model.
Currently, we have 2 floating rovers. They're paid on the custodial 2 salary so that they are, moving around and the inconvenience of that is compensated. They are, one is the early shift, 6:30 to 3. One is the 8:30 to 5 shift. So typically on a regular day, there's more than 2 people out. So we're just putting the needs where it needs to be the most. And the custodial supervisor also fills in for those absences when someone is absent, and also our floor tech. So there's 3 people that currently kind of rotate to fill those positions each day.
Floor tech is hired as a floor tech, not as a custodian.
So if we did a hybrid model where we kept those or had those positions, could it be where the principals contacted beginning of the day or the day that they knew it would be gone and kind of a first come, first serve?
That's what I was going to, they could exhaust, if we went with a hybrid model and we had them, they could exhaust that method before they move to trying to get a sub. If we kept it that way. And we do have some, obviously there are some custodians that are in this building too. So, they could, the rovers could start their day and then be dispatched. Unless we know ahead of time somebody's going to be out.
Usually they start calling around 5 a.m. to say, they're not going to be in today, and we just have to see where's the greatest need.
I also have a question about staffing. I know there was a time that Highlands, for example, only had 1 custodian. Do we have any schools like that now, or do they all have at least 2?
They all have at least 2.
Okay.
There's no one that's not filled at this
Okay.
point.
So I have a question, and I don't know who this goes to, Dr. Askew, if it's you, but have we asked the principals whether they would like to accept that responsibility for the janitors, custodians?
We did do a survey, and it was in, I believe, the board doc, or the board update last week, maybe.
Okay.
It was 50-50.
And can somebody tell me the cost to bring this in-house?
It's roughly about 201 or 202,000, 277,000.
So what you're saying is we would have to wait till the next board meeting in order to move the custodians under principals?
We would have, if if we do it the way that we did it before and we transfer them, we would have to transfer them we would have to give them notice and give them a letter. Technically, they would be at the same location if we just, if you're already working at Dothan High, but you're reporting here, it's not like they're gonna move. So, but we would have to give them notice. You would have to vote on it so that on paper it shows that they report to that supervisor and that structure is intact. So, yeah, it would have to be a board vote to do that, to make that transfer. Now, the other positions that you're talking about, the ones that are through a staffing provider, those 23 positions, all we would have to do with those would just be post them. And they would have to run, and they would have, correct. And I know there's 2 that would not be able to apply based off the time frames of the contract. Because they have to work through us for 90 days so that we can hire them. That was the agreement. We can hire them without a fee if they work for 90 days. There was only 2 of those 23 that are newer that fall within that. Now, they would obviously have the option to continue to sub through the pool, and they could reach that threshold where they could be hired.
That's helped tremendously with the turnover rate, just because it takes so long to hire someone. And oftentimes they apply for the position, they may work as a custodian for a week and then quit. So there was a gap there with being able to hire and fill a position. So that has been able to, keep us fully staffed in that regard. And we know of 2 that were on the board agenda, I believe, last month that are retiring, that the vacancy will be in December or the end of December. So that we already know of 2 that will need to be filled in January.
So is there any way, again, to kind of do a hybrid of that where we have the still trial period where we still work with them, and then once they hit, like now, the 90 days, then they go into a contract? Would that streamline that better, make it easier?
You could do that. That's what a lot of people do, is it would be more instead. They're in the capacity right now, they're long-term subs basically. So they're filling long-term openings like we do with other long-term openings. You can also do what would be attempt to hire, which is basically what you're talking about. So that we would hire them through, they would stay 90 days. If everything's satisfactory at the end of the 90 days, then they could roll and be hired to DCS without a cost. So it is beneficial in that aspect to be able to bring them in, and you're not having, if you have that turnover that occurs within the first week or 2, you're not having to wait till another board meeting to hire someone permanently. You've got someone in that sub capacity, and it's kind of a try before you buy scenario when you're doing it that way. The hybrid, I guess, would be, if you wanted to, the ones that are eligible to hire, if they want to be hired, to be able to come, and then the ones that hadn't reached that threshold, or we have openings and you wanted to bring them in, it would make it easier, especially if they're going to be reporting to the principals, and the principals are going to do the hiring. It would give them an additional resource to be able to hire, and then not be waiting from one board meeting to the next board meeting to bring someone in too.
Would there be additional cost to do it both ways, to do that hybrid?
Well, the additional cost is you're going to be bringing, if you bring them all back.
Right,
it
more than
costs
just that.
less.
Like if we
Yeah.
stayed doing hybrid, it wouldn't cost more than just,
It's going to cost more to do hybrid, but it'll be less if you were doing the hybrid than it would if you did them all. Does that make sense?
Is there any more discussion?
Tasha, when this, I was on the board the first time when this got changed over, and it was a lot of principals called, a lot of custodians called, that it was a struggle for them because they were no longer the boss over the custodian, that it was outsourced. And so that made things more difficult for some, less difficult for others. So I think it definitely, like he said, 50-50. There were a lot that did not like the changeover, and then some that did. So I do think there is a need in a lot of the, especially like the elementary school levels, where the custodians become like family, and then when they get transferred out, because that's not their home base, it's hard for them and the kids. Yeah, it's the culture and climate of the school. Our our old custodian at Kelly Springs would come to my kids' games and, they become family. So then they're constantly worried about getting transferred out. It becomes a big deal that that's not their home-based school anymore. It's just what I have heard over the last few years.
Of course, my experience was secondary, and we had several custodians. And I know a lot of these people in this room have worked with them in these situations, but they give radios to the principal, the assistant principals, the custodians, and the SROs. And that's the nucleus of your staff. They all got radios for a reason, because those are the people that are working together to make that school, function. And countless times you need a custodian to come hit something, and you call them and they do it, and they're there always because they're bought in, they're loyal to their school, they're loyal to their team. When we had, staff meetings, principal meetings, those were the people that were in there with us. It's very much of a family deal when you set it up that way, and I've never met anyone that didn't prefer it that way, and I know a lot of them. So I'm excited to see this.
I think it'll be positive as well, because every experience I've had when it was set up this way has been a tremendous experience for everyone, because like you said, they are key people in that school. Some of the best relationships I've had from being in the school were with our custodians, and some of the relationships I still have are with the custodians that we had at Old Dothan High. So, all right, any more discussion? All right.
So specify the vote again, that the terms of this.
Okay, for a motion to approve the board to employ currently outsourced custodians as DCS employees. We had a second, and then now we were in discussion, so we're ready to vote. So all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. All opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. The tobacco and electronic cigarettes policy, that's you too.
I'm just going to stand here.
We're just going to leave you right there.
I'm just going to stand here tonight, so this is my night.
Okay.
So, the recommendation at the last regular board meeting, we brought the tobacco electronic cigarette policy to sit for you guys to look at and ask any questions. I have not received any to this point, but the recommendation is that the board votes on this policy. This was part of, this is a law. Again, this is Alabama code. So the additions to it came from guidance from the policy pipeline for the state. So I would ask that we approve the changes to the tobacco policy to include tobacco and electronic cigarettes.
I need a motion to approve the tobacco electronic cigarettes policy.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion about it? We need to wait for Mr. Childers to vote. Mr. Mallory, do you sing?
Sorry?
Do you sing?
Not well.
Should we go ahead and vote without him? Okay, let's go ahead and vote without him. Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
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 Okay. All opposed? All right, motion carries. I tried to wait for him. All right. Bus aids, that's you too.
Me again. So, the recommendation is, and it is that, we've had issues on the bus, but this is to recommend that the board authorize teachers to serve as bus aides to cover bus routes at the rate of $50 additional employment. So this would just cover all of the routes. There is a financial impact that comes with it, and that's why we had to add it to the agenda tonight. I have included that financial impact within the packet there, and it will show you the initial, which would be an annual, would be the max, which would be if we filled every bus route, every position, starting at the beginning of the school year. The second, which is just a prorated if we had, and again, that would be if we filled every bus route, paid the $50 on every route for the 107 student days that are remaining. So you can see the totals there if it was a whole year, and then what it would be based off of for basically a half year. Again, that's making the assumption that we're filling all 50, every day. So that just gives you a clearer picture of what the actual cost would be.
Do I have a motion to approve the bus aids? All right, do I have a second? All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Okay, all opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, then we had an add-on. A motion that the board terminate its engagement with the Parsons Group for the purpose of conducting the annual audit effective immediately. Do I have a second to approve this motion? Do I have a motion to approve this? Do I have a second?
I'm sorry. Yeah, microphone would help. I'm sorry. I make a motion to terminate our engagement with the Parsons Group effective immediately.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
Yes, I'd just like to understand the rationale, since this was newly added in the meeting.
We have a new superintendent and a new board, and we have used them for, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think close to 20 years, if not more than that. And it is time for a change. We appreciate them, the time that they served us, but it's time for a change.
So you're wanting to terminate the contract with them, but then we would bid somebody else to do the next audit?
Yes, we have to. It's required by state law. Yeah.
And so are there reasons outside of it's time for a change? I'm not familiar with this group, so I don't have any affinity to them, but is there a reason outside of it's time for a change?
I feel like there, on my end, just being on here for several years, there has been, every time that it's been put out, we've sent it to firms that aren't financial school auditing firms. And so, of course, they've won out the contract, and that's just seemed not very straightforward to me. It's not necessarily a problem with the firm itself, but the way that it has been done in the past. I would have no problem with them putting out a bid for us to do it again, but I feel like it needs to be done better when we put out those bids and we look at those bids. I don't feel like it has been done equitably, I guess might be the word, in the past. I feel like there are other firms out there that could do it that have not even been given the opportunity to put out a bid on it, if that makes sense.
So I'm not quite following, I'm sorry, but it was open bid or it wasn't?
It has been, it's sent out to like 3 people, 3 different firms. They give their bids on it. The last time it happened, 2 of those firms weren't even school auditing firms. So I'm not sure why it was sent to those firms, but this would just be having it rebid and having other firms be able to put in that bid as well. I think it needs to be opened up to more firms. I think 3 is what we have been doing, and that it's sent to those 2-3 different firms. I think there needs to be a difference in the bid process on that as well.
Dr. Askew?
Yes, if you approach the podium.
Ms. Jenkins, I'm not sure which bids you're talking about, because I've gone back and looked at the board minutes, and I've consulted too with the secretary, and we're not able to find where any bids have been put out for this service, and I understand the board's wishes. I just want to caution that we're in a tight deadline right now, and I think that it was today you all were included on an email that I sent that required under uniform guidance for entities spending $750,000 or more in federal funds annually. We're required to have an audit that is due by June 30th. With this and with the bidding out of the process, we're going to have some kind of time frame set so that we can be sure that we meet that June 30th deadline.
So if it's not been bid out, then how do they keep getting the contract? We just keep going to them? We don't even open it to anybody else? Because the last time we requested, I was probably lost the vote, requested that it be open bid to multiple places, and
That's
it has
not been done since I've been here, and I think I've been here the whole time you've been on the board, but that's not been done.
Is this not considered public works?
No. Professional services are not considered under bid law. And this is a professional service.
And so at this point, my concern is whether we're going to be able to make that deadline. If we're terminating now, going through the bid process, and, if we say next year or whatever, we want to open the bid, I'm fine with that, but I just don't want us to be negligent in what we need to do to meet the state's requirements.
And it's not the state's requirements, it's the federal
The
requirements.
federal, okay,
To
that's
receive
even,
federal
yeah.
funds, they will turn our funds off if we do not turn in the financial statement by the due date of June 30th. And I would like to record that in the minutes of the meeting tonight. That's my fiscal duty.
So that's a major concern for me. Like I said, if we want to open up the bids next year, I'm fine with that, but I don't feel comfortable not being able to ensure we can meet the deadline.
So this has never been bid before?
Not since I've been here.
So we wouldn't have to bid?
No.
Okay.
Can I just clarify to make sure I understand what you said? So who selected this firm year after year? The board did, or
It would have
you
been the
did?
board. It's not changed. It hasn't changed, like you said, for 20 years. So it's been an ongoing thing. So in the beginning, I can't speak as to what they did 20 years ago because I
Yeah.
was not here. But undoubtedly, they must have chosen this firm and they've stuck with them for all of these years. And then each year it's been renewed by the superintendent and the CSFO under their management duties, which I think that's what Levi Tate, who's a partner with Parsons Group, stated to you all in an email today that I shared.
I just want to state the obvious. So you're saying that the CSFO and the superintendent selected the people who will audit the money that they handle.
I
Is
did
that
not
correct?
say that. I said that the board.
So they recommended them to the board and the board approved it?
No, I've never recommended anyone to the board. Annually, the financial statement audit has been performed by the Parsons Group. That is not something that the superintendent or the CSFO chose.
So again, I don't understand who chose it then.
I guess you'd have to go back 20 years, but again, I don't know where those records are, and I don't know who would have
So
chosen.
this was selected like 20 years ago or whatever, and there has never been a definitive decision since then. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, so
Yes.
this was decided 20 years ago, and it has never come up for discussion again.
And that's why, like I said to Ms. Jenkins, I went back to multiple years, the years that we have available of the records online digitally to find out when it was originally chosen, but I can't find it. Now, Mr. Jones has been on the board for many years. He may be able to speak to it as far as maybe when this was done, but I don't have any idea.
Okay, I think that just kind of reiterates my point that it's time for us to choose someone different. We've
And
got to
I
have a
understand.
variety, yeah.
I understand your concern. The only concern I have is that at this time, we're already 1 month behind in field work. Field work is normally done by the CPA firm starting in October, November, and we're 1 month behind. So all of the local school audits of all the local principals' funds have not been performed. So if you get another firm, which is going to be a CPA firm, their main point is tax season. So they're going to have to schedule us around tax season just like every other audit firm would have to, just like the Parsons Group does. So I don't see us being able to meet this deadline, especially if we're putting this out for bid. And again, I'm just stating it is the board's prerogative to do whatever you would like to do, but I'm just letting you know that if we do not meet the deadline, what will happen to our federal funds.
Scott, can you maybe help clarify this for me? I know that this has been a discussion for us several times before, the last 2 years at least, where we have talked about wanting to go with a different firm. I'm pretty positive we voted on it and lost. I was on the losing side of that vote to hire a new firm, to look at a new firm. And that's when we were told that it went out to multiple people. So if that's not correct, I understand that, but I know that that was a discussion that was had previously. Do you remember?
I've been told so many things.
Oh.
But no, we were never an active part of a process.
Sorry, my other question for you, they have not started doing the audit either? Nobody has actually started doing the audit?
Once you all approved at the last board meeting from the action item that was added, that all contracts had to go to the board attorney for review, it was sent to the board attorney, the engagement letter, and we've been placed on hold. And I think you all have been copied on the correspondence that's been going back and forth between myself and the board attorney about this process and about the firm being put on hold. And again, today, Levi Tate, who's a partner with Parsons Group, he reached back out to let you all know their stance. And they're fine with stepping back from this engagement. But at this point, I don't think that we have a chance of meeting the deadline if we do not move forward with this firm for this year. And I understand your point, and I understand that it's something that should be rotated out, but understand that it was not something that was addressed previously at board meetings or voted on with action. And I'll do whatever the board wishes that be done, but I need to let you know that we have a deadline that must be met.
So if we hired someone new, they would be starting at the same place that the Parsons Group currently is. The Parsons Group has not done anything yet for this.
When you have an independent CPA firm, they don't share work, so it's stopped. The engagement you previously had, all the previous audits, all the previous work, that belongs to that CPA firm. So whoever you bid it out to and you hired would be starting from scratch. It would not know anything about Dothan City Schools finances or the previous year audits.
I do know that the type of accounting firms that we would seek bids from do have audit departments, like a partner who only does audits. They do have designated people who only do this and don't do taxes.
But I would like to caution that also this takes specialized, just like with legal, with my job, it takes specialization in this area. And I've worked in public accounting before, and you don't always have a specialist at each CPA firm that can focus on this type of audit work. And I think that we're the only ones close by in this area as far as a city that utilizes a CPA firm for our audit. Other smaller districts around us are counties, so they use the Alabama Department of Public Examiners. And so it's not going to be an easy fit to get someone just to come in and to turn the work around quickly.
And Mrs. Walker, I hate to put you on the spot for this, and I don't recall you saying it in what we've discussed thus far, but since this is a federal requirement, and if we don't make the deadline, we lose funding, approximately how much funding are we at risk of losing?
Ms. Jacobs, would you like to? Yes, it would be CMP, it would be Head Start, it would be all your title funds. So basically, we would not be able to continue operations without those funds.
Let me ask this. We had our presentation last spring, probably around March with the Parsons Group, March, April maybe?
It's every June. It's the July meeting that they
Was it
present.
that late?
Yes, it's due in June, June 30th.
And that's when they came to us?
They came to you in July to present the report,
Okay.
and they do that annually.
And you did say this did not have to be bid out, correct?
Professional services do not require a bid.
Okay.
Is there an extension that the government gives on this if we do switch this over? Is there any kind of extensions?
No.
No.
All right, any more discussion? All right. So all in favor?
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. All right. We do not need an executive session, do we? All right. The attorney contract. All right. So we had a motion to amend the agenda to approve the attorney contract as an action item. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right, do I have a second? Second. All right, discussion.
So I have multiple concerns about this.
Okay.
So just bear with me, it may take some time. Okay, my first concern is that we got a copy of the contract 2 hours ago. So not a lot of time to kind of dig in it, but I did have enough time to read it, so. Next concern is that I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chair, you negotiated the contract with our attorney?
We decided that last meeting.
Okay, it was voted on last meeting. So to me, this is the equivalent of someone going in court and representing themselves against an experienced attorney. And I believe it was Abraham Lincoln that says a person that represents themselves in court has a fool for a client. So that's one concern. And additionally, a motion was passed at the last board meeting about having an attorney review every contract. So to me, this is a direct contradiction of what you guys said was important in the last board meeting. My next concern would be there is a buyout clause in here, a pretty substantial amount each year if the contract is terminated. The buyout clause is $50,000 per year. So that makes no sense to me, $50,000 per year if the contract is terminated for the remainder of that contract. Now, I know it's been a lot of discussion about superintendent contracts, all of that, but to me, a superintendent is a full-time employee of Dothan City Schools, so if they're terminated, I feel they should be compensated. But for an attorney that has a full law practice with other clients, I don't understand DCS committing to a $50,000 per year buyout clause. The billing rate was high. It was $300 an hour. And so with the change that was made in last meeting to review all the contracts, and one of the contracts that has come through email, and anybody, if I get this wrong, please correct me, was for a copy machine. So we are paying an attorney $300 an hour to review a contract for a copy machine. So as you can see, the billable hours can go up very quickly. We can be paying over $200,000, $300,000 per year. Sky's the limit on this. Another concern I'll bring up is other school districts do hire a procurement director that handles the first line of defense for contracts, and then if they have more complicated contracts, they go to the attorney. And with my experience in working in corporations, that's kind of how it's done as well. You have a procurement director. Most times they have standardized contracts that they can use, but if there is something, you know, specialized, they can go to the attorney for review. So to me, we could probably, and it's my understanding that we could likely get a procurement director for about at least half of that amount per year. So those are my concerns. that I was able to come up with with the 2 hours we were given, and I was at work trying to read the contract, so.
Is there any more discussion?
I have multiple feelings on this as well. Being on the board with the previous attorney and then being on the board with the current attorney, I know there's a lot of things that he's not billing us for, that he is doing out of loyalty for us, a lot of conversations that are happening. If I spoke with our last attorney for 5 minutes, he would bill us for an hour for it, and I know that's not happening currently. So just being on the board with a previous attorney and then being on the board with this attorney, he's been very clear with us on a lot of things. There are things in here I agree with you that I don't love either. But I've seen the other side of what working with an attorney looks like, and I feel like he has been very good to us, and this is coming from someone who voted no for him. He's been very good to us. He has
Hated the idea of having him in the beginning.
I
You hated it.
absolutely did. Yes, I was very opposed to it. And he has answered every single question I've had. I have texted him late at night, stressed about something, and just said, call me when you have a second, please. And he will call immediately. And we did not have this with the previous attorney. There was not good communication at all with the previous attorney. So I know that there are other options out there, and I know what those other options look like. So I am for putting him on a contract. While I don't love some of the things that are in the contract, I also didn't love some of the things in Dr. Askew's contract, but getting somebody that's worthy of that role, I think, is important, and he has proven to us time and time again that he is worthy of that role. And he's been really good to us for that. Obviously, this is not set in stone, the yearly amount, what it would come out to, but he has not charged us even remotely close to what our previous attorney was charging us, even paying him more. He has billed us for significantly less than what was previously billed to us. So that's just my perspective from having the previous attorney and then having the current attorney. It's kind of a 50-50 for me. There's things I don't love and there's things that I do love, and coming to a middle ground of that we have been happy with this firm, or I have been very happy with this firm.
And I believe there was a recommendation at last meeting about setting a maximum amount so we can make sure that it's within the budgeted amount for legal fees for the year. And I didn't, unless I missed it, I didn't see a maximum amount in the contract. Is there a reason for that?
That would be impossible because of some litigation or something could do whatever, and we can't control that. So, Lord willing, that's not going to happen, but that is out of our control.
And if you look, last year, we paid several other attorneys that we did not hire.
Okay, so again, we're saying that this contract can be anywhere from, well, we know it won't be $0. It could be $500,000, $600,000, just based on billable hours, right?
I'll say this, Mr. Fowler has been trying to get the previous board and this board to understand the value of a buyout clause. It's my opinion he put it in there just to show us how a buyout clause should work. Because when you're in negotiations, no one's going to say, oh yeah, if you don't like me, just let me go. I'm on a 5-year contract, just let me go. You're not going to have it that easy. You're going to have to keep them. A buyout clause is give and take. It is the way that you can protect both sides. And that's the standard that we're trying to say. Yeah, $50,000 a year to pay somebody that we don't want anymore is a lot. But look at college football and what they're doing. I mean, this stuff's crazy. You're never going to hire someone who says, well, if you don't like me, just let me go. That doesn't work. So that's the purpose of a buyout clause. And $50,000 would suck to have to pay, but it's not as bad as hundreds of thousands. And it's more realistic than this example we see in everywhere else. And I'll say this, we paid the year before I got on the board, we paid that previous attorney, I think, $360,000. And I believe Mr. Fowler's and Etheridge's bills have been like 115 or something. I mean, they've been maybe. And so I'll go on record and I'll say this, I believe in them so much, if we get near 300,000, I'll pay the difference. Because we ain't gonna get over 300,000 unless there's some litigation or something we can't control. But I'll tell you right now, I'll pay the difference. If we're 380,000, I owe $80,000. Because that's how much I believe that they're gonna take care of us. And if I'm able to put that on record, I'm good.
And so just as a reminder, he has increased scope from the prior year. So I would imagine if he billed us $115,000 and didn't have to review every single contract, it will be more than that this year.
Won't be
And
anywhere
that's what's led
close.
us to some of these contract issues, like the engagement letters that we're having to deal with now. We almost entered into a contract without getting into attorney-client privilege that was illegal. I mean, like strictly illegal. We need to review contracts to protect this board.
And that's fine, but we're still a buyout clause, even in your example about college football, that's that person's full-time job. I don't understand why an attorney that's part of a full law practice would need a buyout clause of $50,000 a year.
Ms. Walker, how much have we paid other firms just this last year?
It was $65,000 last year that we paid other firms, but remember that some of those firms were required to be covered under our insurance. So without the 20 some odd thousand that had to be required for that, it was about 25, so 40 was for other instances. But we still remained under budget last year, and again, the budget's 200,000.
Oh, my goodness. And what did we pay Boardman when we did this effort last, per hour?
When we hit, Boardman
That
charges
when we
the
brought
amount
board-
that AASB chart, that the Alabama Association of School Boards rate, which is the same rate, I guess, that Mr. Fowler charges, the $250 an hour.
Thought we paid him a lot more than that.
His bill rate's $250 an hour.
What was the total amount in the end of all that?
I can't remember exactly what his total amount was, but he was included in that 65, of which 25 wasn't him because he was not
Did we ever
the
say
one
that
that
amount?
represented us in the lawsuit that I
that
was
amount?
speaking of.
What do y'all remember it being? Did he produce anything with his hours and itemized breakdown of?
Yes.
what- yeah.
The document I saw, Ms. Walker, just said general representation with 3 attorneys from Mr. Boardman one time, and it was over $15,000 or $20,000.
I'm not sure which document that you're talking about that you're looking at, and
The ones that you sent.
okay. We'll have to compare apples to apples, because again, we're just throwing things at me here, but he provides an itemized bill.
Well, once again, I'll say we're not going to be disappointed in the billing. We can't control lawsuits, things like that, but this board's going to remain pleased, and we have an attorney. He may not be solely devoted to us, but if you call him or you need him, he's going to be there. Mr. Etheridge as well. That firm is not going to neglect us, and I believe if we were with some of these larger firms out of Birmingham and Montgomery and places like that, we'd be just another school system with them. So we get full-time service.
Am I excused?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
It says general representation, no itemization.
Yeah, you'd have to see it itemized out to double check that, I guess.
Do we currently pay for the travel, Mr. Fowler? When you go to things for us, do we currently pay you back for that? Do you bill us for those things? I didn't
But
think
you
so.
can, because that is how it works, right? But you don't.
Right, but you don't bill me mileage. I don't charge you. But I don't bill you the IRS rate, which I could, which is what other firms have done.
So I have a number for what we paid Mark Boardman's firm last year, or 2025. Well, actually, I have it back several years. But it's Boardman, Carr, and Patelos, is that correct? Just to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Is that the name of the firm for Mark Boardman? Yes, okay, I have a total for 2025. We paid them $45,230.
Okay, there's another law firm we've paid. I don't know, what's the other law firm we've been paying for special ed? Okay. Can you get to that one? Okay, give me just a second. Hold on just a second.
Okay, ready to vote?
Nope.
Mhm.
Taisha, to your point earlier about an in-house person, we did visit that before we hired the new firm. We met with several people and talked about doing an in-house person, and just kind of weighed the pros and cons of it, the benefits of having somebody in-house. And in the end, I feel like while he's not in-house, he has been very much operating that way. Again, very different than what we had before. So we did, it was retirement, all those things were being factored in, what we would have to pay an attorney, anyone that we could hire in-house to do that legal representation, what we would be paying them, their retirement, sick days, all that. It became a very astronomical number.
260 maybe thousand before benefits.
Yeah.
What she said it would take to leave her practice to be with us full-time.
Yeah.
And the recommendation I had, it's just an option, was the procurement director. So someone who deals with contracts, who would be our first line of defense, would be able to probably handle maybe 80% of standard contracts, and then all of the specialized contracts that person could get with the board attorney.
But he only reviews and offers legal advice to Mrs. Mullins, who would be the one who would, right? That's how it's set up. So,
Yes.
well, it's Turner's.
Security unless he has a license, can't have a legal advice. That's a misdemeanor offense.
They can't practice law. A procurement specialist.
No, I didn't say they could practice law. That's almost laughable. No, I know they can't practice law, but I've worked in corporations where procurement directors help with contracts. Now, as I said, if it's something specialized that's kind of out of the scope of their standardized contracts, they will refer with legal representation, and usually, it's corporate legal, but so, yeah, I'm well aware of that.
How much would you think we would have to spend for something like that? So we would have our attorney and then hire an additional person
Well,
to be
my
in-house?
point is, our attorney wouldn't be needed for copier contracts.
But you're also saying we would need to hire somebody else for that. So then we're talking about,
instead of the billable rate of $300 an hour, we would have the first line of defense with the procurement director, which would probably be, I don't know, 100,000 salary or less a year. And
plus
so-
benefits and retirement and all that, so. Hiring somebody else versus having one person do all of it, I think at the end of the day, the cost is still the same, and it's all running through one person instead of multiple people.
And I guess my point is, the cost isn't the same. We don't know what the cost is. The cost can be $500,000-$600,000.
All right. Is there any more discussion? All right. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay. All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. All right, as I said, there was no need for executive session. New business. Tuesday, December 9th, we have a special call to school board for student hearings. And on Tuesday, December 16th, we have the regular school board meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Motion carries.
Huh?
Indeed.
All right.
All right.
Was there at 4:15 this morning.
I was snoring at
Yeah, boy.